Welcome to the Puro Gems Podcast on a 5-star network. This is the first episode of it, and we're gonna talk about all the happenings in the Japanese indie scene from all Japan, all over to Sendai Girls or Seedling. Together today on this special day is Scott. How are you, Scott?
Hello. Thank you for having me. This is weird because I've never been a guest on a network show yet, and it's really weird to hear like the network talked about and then like I'm a guest. So that's pretty cool. And I get to be on the first Puro Gems, which I'm very excited for. I remember you and me talking about it. You made the idea, you made it all make sense, and now you get to bring it to life. So that's very exciting for me to be a part of the first episode. I'm very excited for your new journey. I know you've worked hard on making this happen. So let's do this.
I'm like really excited about this. I was like so happy when I got the yes from you, and like now we are here recording. And since it's on a 5-star network, you should all check out the other podcasts. We have Stardom Quest, which is a podcast totally about stardom that is airing every week. We have All Elite Cast that it's about AEW happening after every AEW Dynamite episode. We have the Dramatic Dream Dragons, which is a podcast about TDT and Dragon Gate. Watch Teach, which is like the name says about Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. And now we have the Puro Gems podcast. And that's really exciting because the indie scene is not really touched by many podcasts. And so we are bringing that next to you so you can enjoy and listen to a podcast about some of your favorite promotions that you don't see people talking often about. And a promotion many don't talk about, but it's like really worth talking about lately is All Japan Pro Wrestling. And that's our opening for today. All Japan Pro Wrestling had a fantastic first 2 months. We had the January 2nd Currican Hall show where Kento Miyahara and Takuya Nomura defeated the Mooniverse, Kono, and Suwama for the All Japan Tag Title match. How did you feel about this match? Because personally, I felt like the Voodoo is like a dad gimmick, that gimmick that they don't need in All Japan Pro Wrestling. So I was happy that the title change was happening. And I kind of feel like the heel stick is annoying at this point.
Yeah, to me the Voodoo murders were like the lasting like part of All Japan that doesn't click for me. It's kind of like Jake Lee in a lot of ways. Very boring, kind of annoying, and kind of wasting what I think is a good talent in Suwama. I know Suwama, people are back and forth on current Suwama, but I saw the Muto show. I know that Suwama could still go. The match itself wasn't all that great. It was fine. It was fine. I mean, Kento and Nomura did their best, but I'm just happy that they won the titles. I think that was most important to me. I thought that was a good direction to go, especially with their title match coming up and what eventually would happen with those titles.
Yeah, correct. Because early in the show, Naoya Nomura and Yuma Awagi won the All Japan Tag Team title number one contenders match against another tag team of the Voodoo Murders, Runen and Rei Saito, the Saito brothers. So we gonna get later in January the title match between them, which we'll talk about later. But before that, we have another Currican Hall show on the January 3rd that also had a big match. Because the show in a second also was kind of like a build up between the Takuya Nomura versus Kento Miyahara Triple Crown title match. Takura had a big night on January 2nd, getting the win in the main event with the Battle Royal win, and also defeating Kono to win the tag belts. Now the two tag champions are facing off each other, and the match was fantastic. I felt like that sounds stupid because the match was really great, and everyone who hasn't checked it out and will check it out will love it. But it felt like it was like the worst big match of Kento Miyahara this year for me, and that's kind of insane to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think when someone like when you frame it like that, it's like it wasn't bad. It just wasn't what Kento's level is. And I think that's like insane to think about. Because like anyone that has that tag match, which wasn't awful, it just wasn't Kento Miyahara level so far this year. It's like it definitely gets lost in the shuffle. Like you said this, and I completely forgot this happened this year. I thought it happened last year at this point because it's like so forgettable in terms of Kento's year and what he's done and where he's gone. So thank you for bringing that up. I do think that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was a great match. I mean, they went long. They went like 27 minutes, I believe. And the best part usually about a Kento Miyahara match for me is like when he hits his shutdown suplex to end the match, and like the opponent is clearly struggling, fighting, trying everything he can to escape, but in the end, still, loses to that move. And that was done here fantastically. Like always, Kento Miyahara is for me one of the best wrestlers in the world. You can't do much wrong with him. And Takuya Nomura is, as awesome, if not just a bit below him.
Yeah, totally agree. I think Takuya is one of the more underrated wrestlers, and then Kento is top, top of the top. Best of the best isn't just a nickname. It really means it's where he belongs in the conversation.
Yeah, totally. And the month of both didn't even close with that one. I mean, that match was fantastic. But first of all, after the match, Yuma Awagi and Yuji Nagata both came out to challenge Kento Miyahara for the Old Japan Triple Crown belt. Kento Miyahara said that Yuma Awagi is getting his shot first. He's gonna challenge on the February 4th show, which we'll talk about in a bit, and then Yuji Nagata will get his shot down the line. Yuma Awagi versus Kento Miyahara is always a fantastic matchup. I'm glad it was set up here, and the match itself that happened was fantastic. But before that, we had a little build-up tag team match for the Old Japan Tag Team titles. The new champions, Kento Miyahara and Takuya Nomura, face Yuma Awagi and Naoma Nomura. Yeah, two Nomuras is a bit confusing to me. and and man, this match, you expect a lot from them, but this one was fantastic. One of the best tag matches of the year for me, if not the best.
Yeah, I think if I was to look at my, top 10 matches of the year so far,
Mhm.
which I mind you, through 2 months, this is a very tough list to put together. I just wanna point
Yeah,
that out to the good people. So it's not like it's like, in previous years, 2 months is like, you have your clear few. But no, this year, it's incredibly tough. But this match, to me, should be in almost anyone's top 10, top 5. I do think it's the tag match of the year, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure things could change at an instant because, the wrestling world is unbelievable right now in terms of where we're going, but unbelievable action. It kinda it reminded me of where I want All Japan to go, and it's
Mhm.
especially with these 4 guys, like, these are your guys moving forward. You could add Atsuki in there, um, but between the 2 Nomuras, I know one of them's obviously a Big Japan wrestler, but, I mean, come on. And I think Yuma is just he's at that level to be Triple Crown champion now, and I feel like this was the showing he needed to firmly prove that to anyone who is doubting it. And this is going to be a lot of Kento Miyahara praise on here, so I'm not going to do it every single match. But this he was excellent in this match. It was hard hitting, it was dramatic. Just the excitement that the crowd had, when Yumo was locking it, like, he was moving his hips when he had the, submission locked on Kento, like, that was, like, some magic moments, and it's just, like, the simplest of things working their way to make the match that much better.
Yeah, it was like the crowd was insane in this match. I went crazy over it because, first of all, you had the two Nomuras locking him up all the time, and it just beat the living hell out of each other for like a good part of this match, and then this ending sequence. that hyped me so up for the Yuma versus Miyahara singles match that is happening a
Mm.
bit later. But holy hell, there were like so many fantastic neo folds, so many moments where it was like, okay, that's not over. No, he's not gonna kick out of it, and then it's like the kick out is happening again. He's or like escaping from the submission, whatever. I just went crazy over it, and this match, if you haven't checked it out, you definitely should. You will find it on the All Japan network, which is All Japan's. All Japan has like a ton of great matches. But if I could like recommend one of them from this year at least, it should be that one. It's
Hmm.
so easy to watch because it's like you don't need to get much of like any story because the story they tell inside of this match, especially between Kento and Yuma.
Right. I think that's a good way to. I think that's a great way to look at it. Easy watches, I think, go a long way for people becoming fans of certain wrestlers. And I feel like if you are a Puro fan, if you're listening to this podcast and are not a Puro fan, that's crazy. Um, but awesome. Maybe you're trying to get into it. And if you're looking at what matches, like Pep said, to get into All Japan, this one I think out of the rest jumps out the most. Just when tag team wrestling's at its best, it's hard to beat. I think that's the best way to say it.
Yes, yes, 100%. In the end, the surprise moment of this was when Kento Miyahara was pinned by Yuma Awagi here. Um, which means another tag title change happened in All Japan. And I'm not a fan of short title reigns, but this one definitely made sense. Yuma and Nomura are getting more as a tag team, and also Yuma gets a shit ton of momentum coming into the big Triple Crown match, pinning Kento Miyahara because pinning Kento Miyahara doesn't happen often.
No, no, it does not. And I think that's part of the reason. I think that's part of the reason Kento's so good is that when he does get pinned, it matters. And maybe that's kind of like the Okada effect these days or something like that. It's like if someone gets pinned in a match of that caliber, it means something and it usually makes the match all the better. I think that's my biggest problem with like Kaito Kiyomiya and Noah, for example. Like he gets pinned all the time by
Yeah.
his challengers before the match. And it's like, all right, sure. Way to make him kind of look like a dweeb. Like if it happened once in a while and make it all the more important, I think help his title matches even more. But I think that's why Kento is at his level because he's not getting pinned all the time. He has that respect from the audience. And when it does happen, they know it's a big moment.
Yes, 100%. And that's like, we gotta shift a bit away from topic, but that's the thing with Kaito, especially like, all the pinfalls or like all the losses he gets does not matter to me or like doesn't get me feel emotionally invested into the story because we are just used to it and he's like losing everything, so why should I care? While like here now, Yuma gets like the big pin, has a lot of momentum, heads into the February 4th show that we will talk about next. Um, Also, the February 4th show not only had a triple crown match between Kento Miyahara and Yuma Awagi, but before it had a junior title match.
Mm.
Atsuki Awagi, the younger brother of Yuma Awagi, defended his junior title against Kotaro Suzuki. The story pretty much here is Awagi's wrestling all the veteran junior heavyweights. He defeated in the same year. He defeated Kasayashi, Hikaru Sato, Minoru Tanaka, for example. Now he's facing Kotaro Suzuki. That match went like around 10 to 11 minutes, and they got everything in they wanted to in those 11 minutes to make this match great. And that's like a thing I love about junior heavyweights. It happened with the Amakusa versus Hiromu match. It happened here that like have got a little time and got everything in because of their fast pace that they wanted to add into this match. That made this match so good for me.
Yeah, when it comes to Atsuki, who I'm a big fan of, um, I think I think he has differences in what his best matches are and like where they
Mm.
fall off a little. And I think they're at their best when he's a little bit more in that underdog role. And I think that's why him facing all these veterans has been more exciting to me than, say, him going 50-50 or having the upper hand against maybe just, someone else younger in that division. Um, you know, Dan Tamara, for example,
Yeah.
who I think is quite good himself. And they have some guys there in the junior division, but I think for me it does come down to like what role is Atsuki playing, and I think this really embodied like what I'm looking for with him.
Yeah, the good thing is Atsuki kind of revived the junior division after
Yeah,
like the awful Tiger Mask reign that nobody asked for. That was just happening because no, I can't even explain because it was like so bad and the matches were like so weird and like bad that like now having those fresh Awagi matches really helped the title. And
hmm
he's doing great for himself. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. He has his highs and also his lows. I mean, he's still young compared to like others. He's like still really young. Same for Rising Hayato that's also like those two should be like the future of
yeah,
All Japan of the All Japan juniors for like the next 5 to 10 years, if not even for the heavyweights. But we don't know what the plan is for for them.
yeah. I love both of them, so
Yeah,
I'm
they're
happy with
fantastic.
Eddie's success.
And then we move on to the main event. Kento Miyahara versus Yuma Aoyagi. You can't do anything wrong with this matchup. That wasn't the best match, and I think they can have a better match than their one last year. That was their best match for me. But holy hell, they killed it. I would definitely put it where I would definitely put it high in my match of the year list, and that should say enough if I say yeah, they can have a better match than that. I mean, we talked about Kenta Praise enough here, and we can talk about how fucking awesome Kenta is, but I want to give Yuma some flowers here. He doesn't have it easy in All Japan, considering you only have like a few good wrestlers to work a great match with. But he makes like every big match of him is always great and always matters and always gets better and better.
Yeah, Yuma Aoyagi is quickly establishing himself as one of the very best in PRO. He has these title matches, and I think you walk away each time saying, "Wow, he is that guy." And I think my only unfortunate problem with this match is that you kind of knew he wasn't going to win. I think that's why I prefer their match from last year. I think that's why I know they have a better match in them too. Is that there should be a day where Yuma is finally beating Kento Miyahara with that title on the line. And when that happens, it's going to be fantastic. But this was about as good as you could get for a title defense, with Yuji Nagata lurking in the shadows per se. I think Yuma's heart and Yuma's ability to bring you in is really exciting. And I mean, they gave him the Champion Carnival win last year, so they obviously know what they have in him. It's just a matter of when, not if, he becomes champion, which is good. I'm gonna be forever upset he didn't beat Kento for the belt, but we deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like the tag title match where he got the pin kind of spoiled the result for that one because Yuma's not holding two belts at the same time. That's only Kento gonna do that. And I mean, we're gonna come to that later, but now with the tag belts, he also has some interesting stories coming up. So at least he has that and it's not gonna be irrelevant for the next year till Kento needs another defense in his like
Sure.
500,000th reign.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's very true.
yeah, I mean they just create magic against each other, and they proved it here. Kento Miyahara got again the win, and his next title defense is against not other than Yuji Nagata. Something that happened afterwards was that Kento Miyahara, Yuma, Atsuki Aragi, Rising Hayato, Shuji Ishikawa, Yuma Ansai, and Ryo Yone formed the unit, the Old Japan New Era. I'm not gonna pronounce the Japanese name of it because I'm not good at Japanese. And that's now the Old Japan main unit to fight off Voodoo Murders, and I hope they succeed so I never need to see a Voodoo Murders match ever again in my eternal lifetime.
I think it's the best mindset to have. I totally agree.
And then we move on to the next Korakuen Hall show of All Japan on February 19. And we had an All Japan Junior title match there that was really interesting and really newsworthy because we had a title change here. Naruki Doi, also the DDT Universal Champion, dethroned Atsuki Awagi. And I think that was like the best example of what Awagi is. I think that match was good, but it's like a match where it could have been a lot better. And that's like the common thing with me for Awagi currently. Like we said, he needs some time. And he's gonna get that time because he's young and still, it's like a junior division, so he's definitely getting into the reign. Naruki Doi's champion is awesome though. I'm glad he's getting a lot of shine in different promotions.
Yeah, the thing with Atsuki is him being 24 years old gives him so much time to make his craft even better. I think he's super talented for where he's at, and he's going to have many years to become one of the very best juniors in the world today. I think he can be for All Japan what a Hiromu Takahashi is for New Japan in a lot of ways. And I don't say that lightly. I think that holds a lot of weight to it when it comes to comparing anyone to Hiromu. No matter how you feel about Hiromu now, you know Hiromu's star power and you know what he does for them. And I think that's where he can go. I mean, I think Naruki Doi beating him isn't all that bad either because Naruki Doi is an established name on the scene. He is one of Dragon Gate's all-timers. He, is champion now here and in DDT, which is very cool. He deserves every bit of what he's getting. And yeah, I do hope that Doi can kind of continue to elevate this division, which I expect him to do. And I'm interested to see who he does ultimately put over with this. He could just put Atsuki back over, or he could put, I know, the first match he has is Rising Hayato, so I won't get my hopes up there for Hayato, who I think is incredible talent. But hopefully, no matter what he does put someone over because I think this is a good title change for sure.
Yeah, that is what I wanted to add it to. Doi's gonna have his reign, and you have set up already the Awagi redemption arc that Nobly Puro Promotion tells really often. You could bring that. You could bring that Rising Hayato is finally getting his moment because he's right now he's like we have a first defense for our new champion. Let's throw Rising Hayato in, and that's happening with Doi here right now again. And it's kind of weird to me because he seems really popular and he gets a good push all the time. And then, when it matters, we just throw him in whenever we need someone to eat a quick pin. That's kind of weird.
Right.
Compared to he's not far off to Awagi's level. If not, he's on the same level.
I agree. I totally agree. I hope. Yeah, being the first challenger all the time isn't the best role, but that is his role for now. So gotta kind of accept it. But I just hope he has a good showing here. I think that's most important for him right now.
And then we move on to the main event. Kento Miyahara defends his Triple Crown title against Yuji Nagata in front of the packed Korakuen Hall. 1,405 fans were in the venue. That's the most they have, the most in the Korakuen Hall this year. If this junior festival hasn't drawn more, but I don't think it has.
It did not.
And it did not. Okay, Good. Yeah, so it's still the most attendance in the Kurikan Hall this year, which is impressive, I would say, considering that All Japan is not in the hype anymore, like not a big promotion, which shows that this match meant something, and it meant much more than just being a title match because it also had kind of a legacy on the line with Yuji Nagata could be the fifth Grand Slam Puro champion, which means he held the Triple Crown belt, the IWGP Heavyweight title belt, and the GHC Heavyweight title belt. And that happened actually because Yuji Nagata beat Kento Miyahara with the backdrop driver in holy hell, another fantastic match.
Getting used to that when it comes to Kento. If people listening haven't figured that out, I'm sure there are people listening to this that haven't followed All Japan yet, and seeing where they're going with the stories right now, it's time to get in. Because even with Kento not as champion anymore, he still has a very exciting journey ahead. But yeah, I think saying what a match is very fitting. For me, this is my favorite Kento singles so far this year, which is again saying a lot when you have Takuya Nomura and Yuma Aoyagi as your other two. But with Nagata, you got to see Nagata turn back the clock. And I say turn back the clock as in he got to, fully wrestle. He doesn't get to do that in New Japan anymore. So it's all the more special seeing the 54-year-old just absolutely kill it in there. And don't get me wrong, I would have loved Kento to be champion much longer, because I think it's more exciting, truthfully, for me as a viewer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But based off of this performance for Nagata, I don't have many fears as long as he's facing the right guys along the way. Which, with the first defense, I think he is to bring out that violent side of him. But yeah, this was absolutely tremendous. The crowd was absolutely rocking. The final couple minutes were as good as any final stretch, I think, in wrestling this year. So just fantastic stuff.
Yeah, the crowd went crazy for that. That was like one of the best crowds in the entire year in pro wrestling for me. And also, what is very important to say is, I mean, I'm a big Kento Miyahara fan. It's always cool when he's on top, but with Yuji Nagata, you have now a lot of new matchup that you can bring for the belt that will draw really well because Yuji Nagata, even in 2023, is still a draw. So it's a good move for All Japan to keep the stuff or like the product or like at least the top fresh. I mean, you have Yuji Nagata versus the Numuras. You can bring it versus Yuma Agi. You can bring in Suwama. That's like all matches we either haven't seen or like haven't seen in like years. And that will help the promotion on top a lot, especially if Nagata can keep up that level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it will be interesting to see who beats him eventually. I'm sure this title reign won't be long. I think it'll be very fitting of the Satoshi Kojima reign in
Yeah.
Noah last year. But I'm excited. I'm excited for the journey. I'm excited to see who he gets. I know Ishikawa is first up, and I think that match will be great. I love what Ishikawa did with Kento last year in his lone title match. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see those two old bulls go head to head.
Yes, totally. The match is set for March 21st, which is the next big, in a bigger venue at least, show of All Japan. But also another thing that happened was Unagi Sayaka appeared on a Kurikan Hall show. That's, I mean, if you haven't seen her discuss like having those talks with Suwama on Twitter that like came totally out of nowhere.
She's the draw. She's the draw, folks. She is the draw that all these companies are bringing in. I'm not even slightly kidding. That is exactly what they're doing. She's kind of made her new base unofficially marvelous, which is pretty cool. Because she's someone that they can definitely use. But with Unagi, she's in a rivalry with Suwama of all people. Like the graphic is the funniest thing to look at. I literally stare at it. Like it'll pop up on my timeline on Twitter, and I just look at it, and I'm like, what happened? What's going on? Like what? And I love it for her because once she moved on from Stardom, um, it was an interesting mindset, I think, for a lot of us of like, okay, well, she's gonna be successful. She is and I'm not taking this lightly. She's the most popular wrestler on the independent Joshi scene, and it's not very close outside of like the Aja Kongs of the world, which is like, come on, people. Aja, if you're in any conversation with Aja Kong, that's impressive. But she's selling merch, she's selling tickets, and all Japan said, "All right, this is our chance to bring her in." And they're slowly introducing more and more Joshi. Of course, they have Evolution Girls coming up, which is exciting. But this is exciting. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wish she picked a different partner, but it's okay. I'll get through it.
Yeah, correct. The match announced as of right now is Suwama teaming with Mayumi Osaki and Mayuki from Osaki-gun. If you know Mayuki and you don't know Osaki-gun, then you will see a totally different Mayuki than you know in Stardom, for example. Kind of a bad version of her, I would say,
Yep.
in like the most respectful way possible, because it's not her fault. It's like the way Mayumi Osaki likes to lay out her matches is not what many people will enjoy.
Yeah, that's Ozaki Goon for you. Yeah, more often than not stinks. But their match last year in All Japan was fun at least.
Yeah, totally, because the man were able to fight the woman, which is always funny. And
Yeah.
Unagi has also one tag team partner already announced. I think the second one isn't announced yet. It's still an X. The first one is not other than former WWE wrestler Yoshitatsu. And Yoshitatsu with Unagi Sayaka is the most random thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I don't know how we ended up here.
Uh, I can't stand watching Yoshitatsu wrestle, so obviously I'm not jumping for joy over here that he was the choice. That being said, the image itself is the win here. I almost don't even
Oh, yeah.
care what the match is because I get to see Unagi Sayaka leading a team of Yoshitatsu and some random other wrestler, and I think that's good enough for me. And whoever gets that spot, by the way, whoever gets that spot alongside them, it's a big spot. You don't overlook the likes of a Ozaki and Suwama in that match. And of course Unagi. So I'm excited to see who it ends up being. There's obviously options out there, but we'll see who they ultimately pick.
Yes, and we will find out soon. And also, what happened on February 23rd was a sad day for pro wrestling when Cage Muto retired. And All Japan also had a match on the card against Pro Wrestling Noah. It was Kento Miyahara, Yuma Aoyagi, and Suwama against Katsuhiko Nakajima, Keno, and Manabu Soya. It was built around the background of, or the backstory of Kento Miyahara and Katsuhiko Nakajima. And an interesting angle happened after the match when Keno pinned the All Japan Tag Team Champion Yuma Aoyagi. Backstage at the show, Kento Miyahara, Keno and Manabu Soya challenged Yuma Aoyagi and Nomura Takuya. No, wrong. Nomura. So I'm just staying with Nomura for now, and Nomura for the All Japan Tag Team titles, which means Keno and Manabu Soya challenging for both the GHC Tag Team titles and the All Japan Tag Team titles soon. And it's interesting because it seems like an All Japan versus Noah feud is kicking off.
Yeah, it's not only kicking off, but I think they're doing it in a great way. They're doing it slowly. They're very smart with it in that they're going to start. No offense to Yoshiki Inamura, but they're going to start lower for Kento, and they're going to work their way up. I think, and it's it's just smart business for both parties. Some people might say it's like, well, why is Noah doing it? Because listen, folks, with Keiji Muto gone, they need to try things now. Okay, I know people don't like Keiji Muto, which, by the way, you're all wrong. But that's besides the point. Uh, like Keiji Muto or not, he was an absolute draw for them. So now they have to get creative and they need to try these new things. So I think doing that with All Japan and likely in some form getting to use the likes of a Kento Miyahara is very exciting. If you saw that Dome show, how over he is. It doesn't really matter. And you know how great he is. So whatever this leads to, I'm excited. I'm very excited. I think Inamura is going to be exciting. There's those 2 spots in Champion Carnival, which are obviously, ones to jump out for us moving forward. But I'm looking forward to seeing what exactly happens.
Yes, correct. Like you mentioned, also Kento Miyahara at the show called out Masa Kitamiya for the February 27th show that he should come out and apologize to Kento Miyahara. That's like the background of the Kensuke office. And instead of Masa Kitamiya, Inamura appeared at the show and challenged Kento Miyahara to a singles match on the March 13th show in All Japan, March 14th. And that's gonna be fantastic. Like you said, it's gonna start slow. I mean, it's kind of sad because I think that Inamura is like a main eventer if done right, but it seems like he's gonna be
Never gonna
he's
happen.
gonna be the pin eater all the time when they need one, and that's fine for now, I guess. Even though I would have loved to see him with a belt like a bit ago, he hasn't won a belt in his career. Can you imagine that? Not even with Masa Kitamiya.
With Noah, sadly, yes, I can imagine that. Any other promotion this guy is in? No, I would be shocked. But
It's
Noah. Oh, Noah.
it's sad and like one of the problems Noah had. So I'm glad he's getting the big spot against Kento Miyahara here, even though it's like in Shinjuku, which is a small venue. It's like, okay, we have here a small venue and Kento Miyahara gets a singles match. Let's put on the least important guy for us.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
mean,
he's gonna have. I think this is what's important about Inmar. He's going to have maybe the best match of his career because of this match, and I think that's a win for him
yeah,
ultimately. And it's a big match for Kento, which I think a lot of the scary part of him losing the title wasn't even that he lost the title. Him losing to Yuji Nagata is not a big deal. It was what's next for Kento. And if this was always the plan, which it clearly is, then it's okay with me. I wouldn't mind if you had a scenario, and this is maybe me just fantasy booking a little too much, but if you had Kento get to the final and one of the Noah guys get to the final on the other side, I think that would be crazy, but it would be exciting for Champion Carnival. Obviously, you want to push your own guys too, but this story is almost too good to not follow through with, and I think someone like a Masa Kitamiya in All Japan will only succeed. So I'm just very excited.
yeah. Like you said, Masa Kitamiya is likely next because Kento asked Inamura to bring Masa Kitamiya to the show as the second, so it means that we kind of get the confrontation between those two soon. And with the Champion Carnival having 2 axes, there's a good chance that both, so Inamura and Masa Kitamiya, are in the carnival, and that's at least my hope. Of course, my dream is that Nakajima is gonna take the spot, but I think we gonna wait a bit longer for that, if it's even happening at all.
Yeah, I agree.
So just to name all the guys that are in Champion Carnival, it's in the A block: Yuma Awagi, Kento Miyahara, Yoshitatsu. I don't think we need him. Riki Honda, T-Hawk from a Strong Heart, Yun Saito, Cyrus, and an X. On the B block, we have Suwama, Tsuchi Ichikawa, Shotaro Shino, Naoya Nomura, Hokuto Omori, Rei Saito, and the top rookie, Yuma Ansai, and another X. From the lineups, the B block is way better than the A block, but the A block has Kento Miyahara.
Yep, has Kento, and
It
if you
has
have
Kento.
Kento, that's all you need sometimes. Obviously, I think we can both agree. I wish these were a little bit stronger. So I'm gonna hold out hope on them until they announce the X's, because I think that will help the tournament if they're both good. Whether it be Nagata or someone in that range, we'll have to wait and see. But um, yeah, I think with Kento, I mean, there's obviously matches in there that you kind of look forward to more than others. Um, but and it'll be great. It'll still be great, even if it's not exactly, I think, what some people would have preferred, which is probably Kento in the stronger block. But he's so good that whatever block he's in remains strong.
I mean, that lineup kind of shows what problem All Japan has, and that like the talent they have on top is really good, and then way more, or like the way you go down the card, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
I mean, Yunere Saito are cool prospects, but they should not be in the tournament. I get why they are, but they're not like it's not like they're like great, outstanding wrestlers. Same
Mhm.
same for like Ryuki Honda, even though they see a lot of potential in him, I think. Even he kind of started to get a big push last year and then like dropped off, instantly got cooled off with a tag title reign that like had a sad, or like had a bad ending with the Murders team winning the belts from them. But otherwise, I mean, it's totally fine. You still have Yuma, you still have Kento Miyahara, you still have T-Hawk, you still have Suwama, Ishikawa, Ashino, Naoya Nomura. But the one guy that's missing to me is Takuya Nomura, and I'm really sad that he's not in.
Yeah, that was a letdown. I thought he was going to be in for sure. I actually never even questioned if he'd be in or not. So I'm definitely upset. Now I will say with A block, you do have matches that Kento could succeed with. You have,
Yeah.
the T-Hawks, you have the Yuma, you have Honda. I even think he can get a really good match out of Cyrus. I don't like Yoshitatsu, like I said earlier. I think he stinks, truthfully. But again, I'm holding out hope for the X's to kind of bring us back, whether it's Masaki Tamiya or Yuji Nagata or
Keiji
someone.
Muto.
That would be honestly fantastic. I would love every second of that.
Yeah,
It would be
but
ridiculous, but it would be fantastic.
yeah, like you said, Kento Miyahara's T-Hawk would be fantastic. T-Hawk from the Strong Hearts. And now, after 33 minutes, we are over with All Japan. We move on to the Strong Hearts promotion. GLEAT, great, whatever you want to call it. I, I,
That's about
I
how I feel.
still don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's great, but I will stick with GLEAT because I guess people will get what I mean. But people will get what I mean. So, GLEAT had an Edion Arena show, the second Edion Arena, and on January 8th, and it had a big title change, which doesn't happen often in All Japan, and at GLEAT. I was in All Japan still in my mind. The GLEAT, because GLEAT doesn't have many titles and don't have them for a long time. And it was the rematch of the GLEAT version 4 show just 9 days before the Tokyo Dome City Hall. It was Kaito Ishida defeating a Lindemann in Kaito Ishida's hometown for the G-Rex title. And I don't get this booking at all. I need to be serious here. That's really bad booking to book a rematch 9 days later just to do the title switch in the hometown of the heel.
Yeah, that is what they did. Made zero sense to me. Would have just crowned it Ishida and had him walk into his hometown as champion. I think that would have been fine. Don't get me wrong, the match is still great. The
Yeah,
match was great. I thought it was actually better than the week prior, so that
yeah,
helps. So it's not like they did anything wrong in that respect. It's just it's mind-boggling that they didn't They didn't do it the first time, but I guess that kind of, in a lot of ways, highlights what GLEAT does, and that's be different from a lot of promotions. They take chances, they do weird things, and I think that's part of the reason I'm so interested in the promotion as is. And Kaito Ishida as your next G-Rex champion was the right choice. It's just a little odd that they did it this way, but hey, that's what
Yeah,
they do.
yeah, totally. Like you said, the match was. I think, yeah, like I said, I agree with you. The match was a bit better than a match 9 days prior. It helped that the title change happened because Lindemann has been great as champ. He had great defenses, but it was good that he kind of moved on of the strong hearts dominance in the top scene of the promotion. We finally get something different. And the next challenger is Kazuma Sakamoto from Borg Orchestra. And the thing with him is that him and Kaito know each other from Dragon Gate. They were together in the RED faction and held together the Twin Gate titles. So we have a nice little background there. The match will happen next month at the next big late show on March 21st. That's gonna be interesting. I don't think it's gonna. It's. I don't think it's gonna be like a strong match or like a match of the year contender. It's gonna be a fine little first defense for Kaito that he's gonna need to establish himself as top champion.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's a good first defense. The one thing with GLEAT that I wish they didn't do is take so long in between defenses.
Mm-hmm.
I know they don't run a lot of shows, but they run enough shows that they don't need to do that, in my opinion. So I think that's my one like critique on how they do this because he wins the title at the beginning of January, and now we're waiting months to get there. But I guess that's just a me thing. I'm excited for the title defense. I'm looking forward to the title defense, and I think it's very fitting that GLEAT has an interesting matchup like that for the title on the line.
Definitely. It's gonna be interesting how long he holds the belt because Shima, who is likely the head book of GLEAT, he always prefers to push his strong hard guys. It's gonna be interesting how long it takes till Kaito Ishida loses the belt to like a strong hard guy, especially since T-Hawk is normally T-Hawk is the top guy from the strong hearts nowadays. But Eliminate kind of took a spot. I guess we will. I my guess is we will get the T-Hawk reign down the line. And I
Yeah,
would not be shocked if he's like winning the belt from Kaito like the summer or so.
yeah. I look at the roster they have, and it's like it's solid because they work with good promotions too. Um, but T Hawk's kind of the main one that jumps out to you, or Hayato Tamura, but they're both
Yeah.
kind of heels. I think those two would be your top two options to win the title next, and I'm okay with that. I think that they have good people to take over whenever Ishida does lose it.
Yeah, totally. And that's like the cool thing about Play. They are different. They have the UWF style that's really cool. And speaking of the UWF style, GLEAT also announced that an UWF title tournament is happening this year, and it starts on March 7th with 8 participants. And in the first block, you have Yu Isuka versus Minoru Tanaka, Takanori Ito versus Dan Tamura, and on the other side, you have Tetsuya Itsuhi and versus Shinya Aoki, and Sumo Watanabe versus Hikaru Sato. And I know UWF style isn't for everyone. It's not really not really wrestling, not really MMA, more like a mix in between. But those shoot matches or like the shoot style matches in GLEAT can be fantastic. And my feeling is that the title perfectly fits into the way that like what GLEAT wants to represent with the GLEAT MMA show that was happening last year that was like for me a total failure considering like all the wrestlers lost.
It was stupid. It
Yeah.
was just stupid.
You can't bury your wrestlers more than like putting them into into MMA fights while you're promoting it as your own show, but whatever, that's another thing. But I think that's a cool way to represent you or Tetsuya on a high level in like important matches without giving them direct title matches that they might lose.
Yeah, I think GLEAT does UWF rules better than anyone right now in wrestling, and not many people do them. As obviously, not many people do them, especially as much as they do. But the reason they do is because it sets them apart and sets them apart well. They're really good at executing them. So I'm happy that they're doing a tournament to crown a champion. I think it's fitting for the Azukas of the world in that company. Because I think he's great and obviously doesn't have the same direction of like some of their main event talent. I'm excited because I think more titles will be beneficial to this promotion.
Yeah, definitely. Especially since then we might see more title defenses on the main shows and like more bigger matches, which always helps GLEAT. And sometimes it feels like nothing's happening for months, and then out of nowhere they pop out with a great angle and everyone goes crazy about it. And also, I mean, we already talked about her, but none other than Unagi Sayaka appeared on GLEAT. What a shocker! No, for real. Unagi Sayaka appeared on GLEAT. She challenged Michiko Miyagi to a singles match, but then what happened then? First of all, Maya Fukuda ran in and like teased in a high kick straight at Unagi's head. I was like, oh my god, now it's going down. And then we got the setup between Yukari Hosogawa, who is Rin from Chocopro, from the people who might know her from there, who made her in-ring return after like 5 months or like 6-7 months, due to her being like still a student and focusing on school stuff. And for me, Unagi Sayaka fits perfectly into this thing where like Yukari and Maya are getting bigger matches, and while Unagi just does her Unagi stuff and and wins and does cool stuff.
I will never complain about more Unagi in random promotions. I think it's very fitting of her character. It's very fitting of who she is, and I think her and GLEAT's another great spot. It's a great spot for them because it gives them a prominent name to work with more and more, hopefully. I hope that this isn't like, just a couple times. I hope it kind of becomes a trend for them. They don't have a lot of Joshi matches, but what GLEAT has done is they've kind of started the trend that a lot of promotions are beginning to follow, which is having Joshi on a Puro show.
Yes.
And it's working. I think it is working. I mean, they only have Michiko Miyagi, Rin, I can't remember her name. You just said it, but I still can't remember it.
Hosogawa,
yeah, Hasegawa and Mai Fukuda, who I think they need to stop only having in UWF matches. Because I think she's better than that. I think she'd benefit from not just doing those.
My prediction on that is that she's just signed to do them because they kind of want to push her as the face of the MA girls of GLEAT.
Yeah, well, they're gonna be wrong about it, and they should stop because she's a talented wrestler. I think waiting to be even better if they give her the shot. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see if that ever happens.
More Joshi shooters is what we need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Always gotta say that. Joshi shooters are fantastic and like something we rarely see these days. So having one is great. Like you said, I would love to see her in more normal matches because I definitely think she could do that. I mean, her UWF style matches are great. So I think, and she's still really young, so I think she just can do the jump just like the others.
Yeah.
Unagi being there is awesome. She wrestled then on the next show, Yukari, defeated Yukari, and after that they announced for the March 21st show that Unagi Sayaka is teaming up with Itsuki Aoki against Yukari Hosogawa and Miyagi, an tag team match. And Unagi and Aoki is maybe the loudest tag team of all time. Those two just only scream at each other, and it's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it for sure. I think that's a real, and bringing Aoki is exciting too. I think they're bringing in all the right people. It's just they need more people signed. I think for the Joshi division to really jump out. But again, good start. Good start.
Yeah, I don't think it matters, but it's like Miyagi and the other GLEAT girls are like losing every match against outsiders, which kind of is annoying. But at the same time, it's likely the only way they can get those outsiders coming into the promotion wrestling there.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's it for GLEAT. It was a short talk. They haven't done much the first 2 months compared to what they have done last year. But we have a nice setup for the March 21st show with some cool matches, with the UWF tournament starting soon. And I'm definitely going to follow what's happening next. And from now to the Puro Promotions, we are jumping to Joshi Promotions. We start off with Sendai Girls. Sendai Girls had a couple of shows this year, even though we have only seen one of them because the upload schedule is the worst I've ever seen in my entire life. I think we are now into December. Maybe
I blame. No, give me. I need to say this. I blame Mako Satomura from going back to Japan for a while. It's her fault. They were rolling with the uploads. We were doing good. We were having shows up within a month, and then she comes around and we don't get anything for months. And I just wanted to blame her. And I'm happy she's back in WWE doing crap because she was taken away from my Sendai Girls.
I mean, WWE wants to tell us right now that women's wrestling wasn't respected till Mako Satomura started her career. So come on.
Yeah, that's a can of worms. I'm not gonna open.
But yeah, back to Sendai Girls. The one show we have seen was the Sendai Girls Big Show in, what a surprise, Sendai. And it had Chihiro Hashimoto and Yu versus Ryo Mizunami and once again Unagi Sayaka.
Oh my gosh! I think you should just name this episode the Unagi Sayaka episode.
I think we have her in like 5 different promotions that we are talking about at least, and yeah, 2 more. We nobody can escape her, and that's the most awesome thing that has happened to Joshi Indies in a long time. Now, the match was scheduled to be Hashimoto and Yu versus Ryo Mizunami and Manami for the vacant Sendai Girls tag team titles. After, I think, it was Dash who got injured. Correct? It was Dash.
Yeah.
Correct. It was Dash who got injured, who's out now for a couple of more months. I think like 3 or 4 more months. Wishing her the best. She's awesome, and I really need her back.
Yeah, I get really sad when Dash gets hurt because her and Hiroyo were having a hell of a run.
Dash is awesome and like really needs more matches, needs more big matches, and I hope she gets when she comes back. But back to the match. So that Unagi replaced Ryo Mizunami because her opponent Yurika Oka also was out due to, I think it was like some illness, same for Manami. And we have a non-title tag team match here, and that was, I think it was really good. I think it was the best Unagi Sayaka match outside of Stardom since the Gyan period started.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing her, I think in-ring wise, she's doing her best work in Sendai Girls because you have her put against Hashimoto, and Hashimoto beating the crap out of baby faces is always fantastic.
Yeah, I sing the praises of Sendai Girls for a reason. Like, yes, their upload schedule stinks. I know that. I'm very aware of that. But no promotion, I think, books better talent consistently on the Joshi scene than them, outside of like Stardom, obviously. Because they have a good core, And then they bring in all the best outsiders. They bring in Takase. They bring in Asuka, who's, of course, the champion. They bring in Unagi Sayaka. They bring in Saori Anou. They bring in Mayukihi now. Like, they are bringing in the very, very best of the Joshi scene. It's also part of the frustration of why, like, their upload schedule stinks, because I want to see almost all the matches they ever do. And thankfully, I think after today, the day of this recording, we're actually almost there. In terms of being
Almost.
caught up from last year. So the next batch, I believe, will be the new year. So we'll finally get to jump into that. But I think Unagi showed out in this match. It was a big spot for her. I liked her and Rio as a team. I wish they were a team moving forward. They're not. But I liked them a lot. The one thing with Sendai Girls too is, like, their house shows are almost always better than their pay-per-views. And it's insane.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's likely because they just booked the most random and most out of nowhere sickest matchup that you have in the Joshi scene.
Yeah.
Outside of Stardom, but those matches, they kind of we know what the roster has. It's like with Senna, you have like 3 or 4 core members right now,
Yeah.
with Dash being out, and them bringing in like all those cool indie girls just helps them. And on the big shows, it's like they bring in someone like Asha Kong, like Yago Yokota, like Mayumi Osaki, and that kind of, the quality kind of suffers under that we normally have with the normal Senegal's house shows.
Mhm.
Because if we compare the shows with each other, for example, on the latest one, we have Miko Wata versus Miyu Momono match with Asuka versus Yurika Oka. We have Mayuki and Saori Anou versus Manami and Ryo Mizunami. We have Hashimoto and Yu against Miyuki Takase and Sakura Hirota. The GOAT, by the way, Sakura Hirota. And then Hiro Matsumoto and Hira Suzuki, who's like a really cool, promising talent that's just 16 years old. And that's like way better than what they're doing on the big shows where they throw in like all the big stars to sell tickets, which I don't think they need.
That's crazy.
At least product-wise.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you there.
And to continue, so then we just gonna jump to the next show where the Senegal's tag team title match happened. It hasn't aired yet, like we said, but Hashimoto and Yu won the belts again for I think it's now the 3rd time together as a tag team. They won them. They won them in a vacant title match against Manami, Ryo, and Mizunami. I bet the match was great. I can't wait to see it in May. If we are lucky.
I will give Sendai Girls a little credit. They allow me to see the show sooner than PWG does. Congratulations to them.
That's the standard. At least we can watch the shows. They're like Jersey Promotions, like Colors, that like put them on DVD and we will never see them in our lifetime.
Yeah, that's that bothers me forever that happened. Not that this might get people yell at me, but not that I need to see color shows, because I'm not going to say I don't love colors, but I'm not as big a fan of them as some. So there you go.
And yes, so we have them again as the tag team champions. Sendai Girls can't survive like 4 months without belting up Chihiro Hashimoto. And it's only a matter of time till she's a 6-time Sendai Girls World Champion.
Yep.
And
she's just busy in Stardom right now. That's why she doesn't have the title, pretty much. At least that's how I feel about it. I think that's why she's currently not champion. I think that's okay.
Which is okay. Yeah, we can survive without Hashimoto on top for a few months, because the current top champion is Asuka, also known in the United States as Venny, who's like one of the best wrestlers overall in the entire world, and she defended her Sendai Girls World title against Mika Iwata. Mika Iwata, for those who don't know her, at this point she's the Goto of Sendai Girls.
Yeah, she sure is.
She suffers that Hashimoto is the unbeatable ace of this promotion, and that no one can top her in the next few years, which is sad because she's awesome.
Yeah, the reality has set in that she probably may not ever touch this top belt. If they knew it was good for them, they would build a story out of that, out of her many failures, and turn it into a money story. I won't get my hopes up, but they should do that. I wouldn't have dethroned Asuka here though, because I think Asuka is as good a champion as you can have. I think you said it very well. That she's one of the best in the world today, for a reason. So the title match itself was pretty good. I'd say even nearing great in a lot of ways. It just I actually I might have liked it better than the title change match from the end of last year with Hashimoto and Asuka, which is that match I think didn't reach the level I knew it could based off their previous match,
Yeah, that one was weird. Yeah,
but a good start to Asuka's reign nonetheless. Hopefully she holds this for another good couple of months.
correct. And I hope we get at least one or two more title defenses. We get some fresh new people before we get Hashimoto back on top, because the third match between them is gonna happen, and it's likely gonna happen till in the summer. So we can hope that we at least get like one or two more defenses out of it.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah, that
match,
would be nice.
for the match, I wouldn't say I was disappointed. I just felt like these two could have had a way better match if they wanted to. I don't know if
Yeah.
it was like the time, because it went just like, I don't know, 12, 13 minutes or so, if the match was kind of too short for them, or if it had like any other reasons. But it felt to me that it hasn't reached the level of greatness that you would expect a match between Mika Wata and Veni Asuka.
Yep. Yep. Like I said, I'm happy that Asuka's champion. I think that's my biggest takeaway from it. I'm looking forward to whatever's next.
That's correct. And Asuka isn't only champion in Senegal, she's also the Seedling Tag Team Champion.
Yeah,
And
wasting away with that title because they don't defend it enough. But okay, sorry, I got angry.
speaking of Seedling, that's the next promotion we're gonna talk about. And like you said, they haven't defended the belts since I think it's October. I need to look up. I think it's October. Yeah, it's October. And
Yeah, it was they had a great freaking title match with the Yame Sasamura and Rico Kaiju, and then they were just like, "Yeah, we don't need to defend these anymore." Oh, okay,
yeah,
cool.
it's kind of wasted at this point, because I felt like they were building up. I think Alex mentioned it too a couple of times. Um, they were building up the Yoshiko versus Asuka feud, and then Yoshiko just stopped appearing for some reason, and still
Yeah,
hasn't for like an entire year now, which hurts the promotion a lot, because people are not. I know people aren't fans of Yoshiko. Like, not many are fans of Yoshiko, but this promotion needs star power on top quickly.
yeah. I'm not gonna get my hopes up thinking Yoshiko walks back in the door anytime soon. What they need to do, and I can't stress this enough, is keep working with other promotions. Your best plan is to follow the leads of a promotion like Sendai, and we're starting to get a hint of it. Maybe they're considering working with Marvelous, maybe stuff like that we can hope for. Um, they work with Ice Ribbon from time to time. They work a little bit with Pure J, but I want more of that. your roster isn't strong enough. And when you work with these promotions, bring in some top names, not just their prospects. Don't get me wrong. I love that they're bringing in, the Crayas of Pure J, and they're, bringing in Takase more and more. But keep bringing these people in and putting them in signature matches rather than just tossing them in the fake high speed matches that they do.
Oh yeah, the high speed matches and I will never be friends. But to get into what they have done in the first month, they had two shows. On the first show, there was a really cool match that I quickly want to talk about. It was Arisa Nakajima, Hiroyo Hatsumoto, Ryo Mizunami against Itsuki Aoki, Riku Kaichi, and Riku Kawahata. On the one side, you have the veterans, while on the other side, you have more the young wrestlers. I wouldn't really call Itsuki Aoki the young wrestlers with like 6 or 7 years of experience now, but she definitely counts into that considering the story you're telling. And that match was like the perfect way how to book like a 6 man or like a 6 woman tag between vets and young veterans. Especially Riku Kawahata looked really great in this match as a babyface because she got the shit kicked out of her the whole match and it just worked well. The match itself was, I think, it was likely one of the better multi-man tag matches in Joshi this year. Um, if you don't watch it, you will not miss that much, I think. But I think it's interesting considering what is happening at the next show.
Yeah, I thought this tag was really, really good. It's what I want from Seedling. That's what this match was. It's what Seedling should be doing is putting on these highlight tags. Um, I think Ayame and Rico. Um, sorry, I just completely blanked out what I was about to say. But with Seedling, and I'm gonna keep pushing this because this is what I want. But with Rico and Ayame, I think these two are such a good tag team that they're one of the more underappreciated tag teams with Joshi, and they're still pretty fresh. So I'm not gonna get upset with people that don't fully know them. But this match with the Aoki and Kagura is someone that I'm starting to become a fan of. It's took a little time because I think she's so behind, the likes of a Tomoka Inaba from
Yeah.
in JTO. That's like you kind of overlook her, and I think Aoi kind of jumped over her too in a lot of ways because of how charismatic Aoi is. But Misa's definitely putting it together, and seeing her get the win here and eventually a title match is very cool. And Aoki's just a great base to have in a match. And I think, like you said, with Sasamura moving forward, that's exciting too.
Yes. Like you said, Riku Kawahata got the main event victory in a battle royal, challenged Arisa Nakajima for the title, and the match happened at the next show. And I think Kawahata did great here. I mean, we know her from from like other places where she gets a bigger matches, but that was like likely her biggest match of her career. I would say at least. I mean, we know her getting like tag title shots or whatever, but we have never seen her getting a big single title match in like a while now, and that was great. Kawahata did really well here, and the story that Nakajima just slaughters every young wrestler in Joshi before, likely the match against Riku Kaichi is happening, is just great.
I freaking love these two. I do. I think Arisa Nakajima is the only non let me rephrase. I think she's the only wrestler in the and people might disagree with me, and that's fine. But I think she would be my top option for wrestlers that are like all timers in terms of like who should be remembered as one of the very best. Like she is one of the only in terms of the 2010s to
Yes.
get to that level with the likes of Amayu Itani and Io Shirai, and I'll toss Tsukasa in there as well. Tsukasa Fujimoto. I think those are like the main four. Kyrie, obviously, too. Kyrie is a different. I don't really count Kyrie and Io because they went to WWE, so that's just different. Um, but I think that's how much I respect Risa Nakajima, and she will go down as one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. Fantastic tag wrestler, fantastic singles wrestler, and you bring up that Riko Kaiju match. It's one of my favorites from Joshi last year, and this was that, not to that degree necessarily, but it was the best match of Riko Kawahata's career to this point,
Yes.
in my opinion. I think Riko is a star in the making. What she's done in the past year to transform herself as a wrestler is truly fantastic, and this was a good building block for her. And the where they're going with this Nakajima run is exactly where I hoped they would. Is that's wrestling these wrestlers that maybe don't get big title shots, and can go out there and prove it against someone like Nakajima.
And totally. I don't know if you have seen it, but there was like always like the big discussion with Arisa Nakajima and her title reigns, and it was like always saying, the matches against Hanako Nakamori or like Ryo Mizunami are great, and I love to see them. But I
Mm,
would rather prefer her facing someone new, like now Rika Kawahata in a singles match, instead of going over the same names over and over and over again. We already have seen Arisa Nakajima defeating all kinds of big names, like I don't know, like 20 times now.
yeah,
So I'm just glad they go with something new, because that's definitely what Seedling needs. Seedling needs freshness, especially since we still have Arisa Nakajima on top, the ace of the promotion. She's always gonna stay on top till she likely retires, which is okay. It's the way Joshi Indies are booked. But at least then they can finally give us something fresh as the challengers, and that's what I overall then need.
yeah, yeah. Very well said there.
And speaking of young challengers, Itsuki Aoki came out and wanted to challenge, but Arisa Nakajima just said no, pushed her out of the ring, and Ayame Sasumura from 2AW came out and challenged Arisa Nakajima to the title match. That match will happen in March as well. Their first title match against each other was in 2019, and since then Sasumura didn't really get some a big match. Sasumura's like the thing where fans or like Joshi fans wait for like 4 years now that she's finally breaking out, but she has been held a bit back. It was like a time like 2019 where she was way above the level where she's like right now as Sendai Girls Junior champion, winning the Seedling Beyond the Sea tag team titles and whatever. Now she's just the matches. So it's finally great to see her in a bigger spot, because she's great. If you let her wrestle, she's great, and I can't wait for this match.
Totally agree. I'm such a fan of hers. She really made me a fan in 2022 with all the opportunities she was getting, and seeing now this be kind of the culmination of that's awesome. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, last year she had the match against Hashimoto at the Kurikan Hall show. That was really good. That showed like what potential she had. It went like 60 minutes. And now she had a bit ago, I think it was against Kihaku on a 2WA show. It was like a small show. And where she also like they had a totally cool match against each other that like nobody will ever see, because it's 2AW and nobody outside of me ever watches that. And it's finally great that she's getting a spot in a bigger promotion, at least for like Joshi fans, a bigger promotion.
I totally agree.
And speaking of Joshi promotions, we have one that had an eventful 2023, or like first 2 months of 2023, even though I wouldn't say it was in a good way. Marvelous has had some rough last 3 months since Iroha's injured. I don't really wanna, okay. I was trying to think if I should go really into detail about this, but I need to rage about it. Okay, we gonna start with the Takumi Iroha match got announced. The return match got announced after 4 months of injuries. She's wrestling in Spain before, which is totally fine. She wrestled Nightshade there. which many or a name many might know from the TJPW Wrestle Princess 2. It's free. The free show where she challenged Yuki Ryan's Seki Kai in a semi-main event, like that really bad tag title match. And now Takumi Iroha had her return match in Japan announced. It's Leo Isaka and Takumi Iroha against Nagajima and Daisuke Sekimoto. And I have no clue who asked for this. I have no clue who asked for it and was like, oh my god, let's book this match.
I like Sekimoto.
Well, what are the chances that he and Iroha is gonna lock up?
Very little, which is the most upsetting part of this whole match. Because no offense to Nagashima, I think out of all the older Joshi, she's one of the better ones. These days,
that's great. Yeah,
but that's not saying a lot because most of them stink. So especially the ones that work for Marvelous. Tomoka Watanabe, you are my enemy.
She can at least walk. That's something.
Yeah, Tomoka Watanabe, you are my enemy. I will never watch another match of yours again. You stink. Sorry, I got angry.
Yeah, Nagashima at least can walk, and she's the current AAPW champion.
Yeah, that sucks, huh?
We all know that we rather want to see Miyamoto or even Takumi Iroha in that spot, but
Takumi will be back. Oh, she'll be back.
Oh yeah, soon enough. After we have done the Tomoko feud. Yeah, but what is upsetting about this, or like kind of funny about this Iroha return match is they had set up an entire angle with like a 5 minutes promo between Unagi Sayaka and Takumi Iroha, just in the end for Iroha to say, no, I'm not gonna wrestle you, and I'm rather teaming with Leo Isaka. Come on,
crazy.
I mean, it's kind of a bit that Iroha, that Unagi tries to get herself in big matches, and the other wrestler says no. Asha Kong, for example, is 0-1, but here's like, I don't give a shit if Asha Kong wrestles Unagi Sayaka. Unagi definitely cares. I bet she's a big fan, and wrestling Asha Kong is great, but I don't need to see that. But I need to see that Iroha versus Unagi match, because it has been teased for a while now. It was scheduled for the December 4th show, where in the end the title tournament happened. So I was like, okay, we finally gonna see that, and then they announced this and was like, oh, fuck off. and now we are here again. And funny enough, it's like, I think it's now the 4th time we have mentioned Nagi Sayaka in a promotion. We can't escape her. She always is behind us, and we love her for that.
Yes, we do. I think on the Takumi Unagi match, at least I hope, is that they want it in a bigger scenario, maybe on a bigger show. Like, I'm trying to think why they would hold it off, and maybe it's they want it on a Korakuen when Takumi's more back into it. I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of what could be a big match for Unagi versus, or like what could be a big scenario for Unagi versus Iroha to happening, is if we look at the AAPW title scene with Nagashima facing Tomoko Watanabe soon for the belt, with Unagi being already announced as the next challenger. And Tomoko Watanabe versus Nagashima sounds like one of the worst matches of this entire year, at least for the big title feud, or like for a big title feud. And
it's so bad.
It's like, I guess, okay, the Marvelous fans are interested in, but nobody can tell me that the Marvelous fans are not interested more in Unagi Sayaka versus Takumi Iroha, or like Iroha versus Miyamoto, whatever, than this match.
This is what is wrong with Marvelous in every way.
And, okay, I know they lost Rin Katakura a month ago, which is a big loss for them since she's one of the biggest stars, and they kind of lost Iroha due to injury for a few months. I know. And I know that Nagashima is just a replacement because of all that. But couldn't we have strapped up Mio Momono instead?
No, because we don't get what we want. That's why.
But what we got was a Mio Momono trial series. She's in her 8th year as a wrestler and she's getting rookie series now. That's at least an improvement, I guess. this promotion adds me sometimes. So Mio Momono is doing a 5-match trial series to prove herself for some reason. I don't know why. At least we get good matches out of it. The first one was against Karu Ito. That was not a good match. Mio Momono lost, which made it even worse. That's why I'm not gonna talk about it.
Not worth it.
Then the second one was against someone really interesting. You kind of mentioned it earlier. It was Arisa Nakajima, this Beyond the Sea champion from Seedling. She faced Mio Momono, and that match was really good. And it finally showed again how good Mio is, because she haven't been able to cook in the last few months, mainly because they were taking it slower after her big injury, which is understandable. Now it seems like we finally get the Mio we have been asking for like months now, and that match was a proof why we want to see more of that.
Yeah, long overdue, but nice to finally see her do what she's so good at.
Yeah, the match was kind of short. I think Mio lost in like 13 minutes. I mean, I don't have a problem with that match going 13 minutes, but it's like we likely will never see the match ever again in our lifetime. There's at least a good chance we will never, considering that when Mio is on the top of Marvelous, we will never see that. So I kind of wish they would have gotten a bit more time to like fully go all out and have a fantastic match that they have in them. But I'm not complaining that I'm getting this matchup compared to what we have seen from like the matchups Mio was getting in the last few months. Tomoko Watanabe, like every second match. I who sound squashes, whatever. I don't think anyone needs that more of that. So give me more Arisa Nakajima or like someone else. Maybe, I don't know, Mayuki, who is sometimes in Marvelous now, for example. Instead of more old women that nobody needs. And yes, that was Marvelous, actually. It wasn't that much happening. We have the Tomoko vs. Nakashima match coming up, but otherwise, we are done with that promotion. The next one is Prominence. They had 2 little shows. One in January, at the beginning of the month, that wasn't really like much worth talking about, except for the main event, because it was a Suzuki trial series death match, and those matches always rock. This time it was against Toshiyuki Sakura, who also had a small excursion in the US last month. And that one, I wouldn't say was the best match out of her series, rather one of the worst ones. But it was still really brutal, and Suzu's like an excellent babyface fighting from underneath in the trial series.
Suzuki is one of the very best in the world. So any match that she has at this point feels like it has to be watched by all. And her deathmatch series with Prominence has been the same exact thing as you'd kind of hope for with her. Is really exciting. I'm excited to get to the February show because I actually think top to bottom, their February show was their best overall show to date.
Yes, totally. That's why we're gonna talk about that. And I think it's actually worth to talk about like 3 matches there, which is insane because Prominence is not like, they don't have all those big mains. I mean, they have some solid names outside of the Prominence roster, but most of them are like, Miyako Matsumoto or like Sakura Hirota.
Right.
But sometimes they bring in Miyuki Takazu, for example, and she had a match against Prominence Akane Fushita, and holy shit, that match was awesome and way better than I expected. Likely for me, the best Akane Fushida performance in a very long time, if not in her entire career.
Yeah, it's it's a uh it's nice to see Miyuki Takase do what she does best again. It feels like it's been a while. I My frustration with the handling of Takase on the scene um gets louder and louder as the days go on, but when matches like this happen, I'm very happy. I'm very happy that she's out there killing it again and showing why she's one of the very best. Um, and I thought, yeah, I definitely agree. This is probably Akane's best match of her career, at least singles match
Yeah,
wise,
at least.
at the very least. Um, the headbutt was terrifying. It was a great singles match and kind of the reason I love these prominent shows to begin with.
Yeah, totally. I need to mention Akane, Mochi Natsumi, and Hiragi Kurumi don't have it easy next to Suzu and Risa, who like from the star power like 3 or 4 levels above them. And I think it's cool that at least like while Kurumi's finally showing what she can do in Stardom, Akane is killing it here on a prominent show. I hope she gets some bigger spots if she continues to deliver like that, because we have seen now that she can have great matches and they are not like levels below the other twos, at least in ring wise.
Yeah, I get you. Um, yeah, Mochi Natsumi's not my cup of tea, but
No, no.
the other two, I think, have shown multiple signs in the past. For the longest time, I felt like Akane was actually the better between her and Kurumi, but Kurumi, with her health getting better, her getting more confident in her knee, she has really shown why she is a former Ice Cross Affinity champion and why I think a lot of people should be excited for her moving forward in and out of Stardom. But
Yes.
yeah, I definitely agree with all that.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason why Kurumi is like a 6-time, I assume, tag team champion and 2-time Ice Cross Infinity champion. I
Yeah.
mean, I think she won as many belts as Risa Serra, and it definitely has a reason for it. And she finally shows it, and I hope she gets bigger spots here too, or at least in Stardom and outside of Stardom. Here on that show, she had a 6-woman tag team match that was not centered around her, but it was centered around her tag team partner here, Risa Serra. It was Risa Serra, Yuki Miyazaki from Wave, Hiraki Kurumi against Chris Brooks, Hard Lake Jackson, and Violento Jack. And that was a Risa Serra's awesome match.
Yeah.
She went out there and just bled the whole time, and it was awesome. I loved
Yeah, she's incredible. She is everything that I think I personally love about not just Joshi, but if you're gonna bring the deathmatch side of things into it, I I think she's my favorite to watch. It's like her and Jun Kasai for me are like my two favorites because they just get it. Right? Those are two wrestlers who are good at pro wrestling and use death matches to enhance a match rather than be the entire thing, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Like I, me and deathmatch wrestling have an interesting relationship. I'll admit that. But when you have wrestlers like a Risa Serra who's so good, it makes it makes death matches worth watching. And this wasn't even supposed to be a death match; it just became that way for her. I think everyone in this match did a great job, but she was the star, as
yeah,
you'd imagine.
yeah. I think Chris Brooks tweeted afterwards, like quoted the match and said like that Risa Serra's awesome, and it just can agree with that. Um, she has been great in Stardom. She kind of get underappreciated from a few because Suzu is showing out so well, but her matches in Stardom, like her performances, have been awesome. Now her performances outside of Stardom have been often awesome. I love to see more of her. I hope every promotion books her. I hope Freedoms finally books her because they also started to book Joshis with Nane Takahashi and Saria Nu in like tag match. I don't know
Mhm.
the full tag match. I hope she's getting here also a few spots because she definitely would fit into the vibe. like Rina Yamashita, for example.
For sure.
And moving on to the main event, it was this time it was Takeshi Sasaki, the promoter of Pro Wrestling Freedoms, facing Suzuki in the eighth trial series match of Suzuki's deathmatch series. And for me, there was maybe it was a really good match. I think Suzu had better matches, better death matches in her career, especially in the trial series, like I said already before in the Sakuda one. But it was once again a great match. I mean, we talk about great matches here. We compare. It's not like that matches are like bad or like just solid. We compare here great matches to world class matches.
Yeah, it was one of my favorites for her deathmatch wise. It's it showed a lot of her growth in the deathmatch mindset, and I think that's kind of what you look for when you do a trial series. I think she has better matches coming up, obviously,
Oh,
because of big specific name that's booked. But I've enjoyed this series, and this was another one where I was like, yeah, this is why we're doing this, right? It's for her to put on great showings and be the face of prominence in a lot of ways. Even if Risa Sarah's the leader, she is the face of it, and you see it every prominent show.
that's correct. And like you said, she has two matches left on her schedule on like her trial series. The first one is against Masahi Takeda, who just came back since his wife died last year, and he needed to look after the children and took like a break. I think it was him. I hope.
I
Yeah,
think so.
it was him, and he came like back in July or so, and
Mhm.
now he's facing Suzuki, and that match will be fantastic. Takeda is one of the best deathmatch wrestlers of this generation, and the other one, well, when we talk about one of the best deathmatch wrestlers of this generation, we have maybe here the best in the Hurricane Hall, the 1 year anniversary of prominence, Suzuki against Jun Kasai. And this has match of the year contender written all over it.
Yeah, if they go to the extent that we know they both can, it it can be your death match of the year. It can be your one of them the best matches of the year. I just hope that they go to that level that I know they can.
Yeah. And 100%, I mean, they 100% likely will. Jin Kasai, one of the most over wrestlers in the entire country, facing against Suzuki in front of the Hurricane. I mean, there's not much that can go wrong here, especially since we have seen Suzu's growth in death matches compared to their match in 2021. That was also, I think, was really good. Suzu has been a lot better since then, and I think we are into something here. And everyone should check it out
That
if it's on YouTube at least.
Yeah,
I
that
hope we can see.
2021 match is my favorite actually. So of Suzu's run because I think it challenged her the most. Um and that was when she was still learning, so I think that's why I liked it so much. Learning the deathmatch part. Obviously, she has been a great wrestler for years now. Um and it being in the venue that it is make gives us all the potential that it will be fantastic.
Yes, totally. And yeah, that's now it for prominence. We have now Pro Wrestling Wave coming up. They haven't had done much this year because we are like just waiting for Nagisa Nazaki to return for a knee injury. But we had a January 1st show that was, I think, was likely the best Wave show forever because it has an all-around great card. And for me, the standout match, of course, was the main event. Hikaru Shida defending her Regina the Wave title against Risa Serra. Yeah, we talked about Risa Serra, but the Shida run in Japan has been fantastic, and I really can't wait till when she's back in March. I think she's back next week. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you are correct. She is back next week. She has one of her shows coming up, so she's back in Japan. Um, with with Wave overall bringing in prominence, it's been kind of one of the best parts of Wave for the better part of however long they've been doing now. So like seeing Risa Sarah get a big title match against Shida was exciting. It's a little more. It's not the exact match you kind of probably expect if you're going into it blind and not knowing a lot about Wave and what Risa Sarah is doing there. Um, but it's very entertaining and kind of the embodiment of what Wave does and what these two can do because you get a little bit of everything.
Yes, totally. To explain it to the ones that haven't watched, there was like a bit in the middle where like both brought out the suitcases of like half of the roster. That goes back to like Risa Sarah having a small obsession with suitcases over the last couple of months in Wave. If you are into that kind of stuff, you you will love it. If not, it's totally understandable. But the good part of the match, like I think the other like 10 minutes or so, or like 12, 10, 15 minutes were like straight up they were beating a shit out of each other. And that was the part that like rocked here.
Yeah, for sure.
Um then we also had a few tag title matches here that I will quickly mention. First of all, it was on the January 1st show. It was Galaxy Punch defending their titles against Jerry and Yoneyama. That was totally fine. The next one was against Haruko Mizaki and Sakura Hirota. That was a bit more of comedy because Sakura Hirota, if you like comedy, it's always with Wave. You need to know that. With Wave, it's always like, if you like comedy, you will love the promotion. If not, then only specific matches are for you. And that's kind of the way Wave tells their stories for like years now. Galaxy Punch also defended against Kakura Sekiguchi and Riku Kawahata, and also against Kikutaru and Kushinobu Kamen, which was a full-blown weird tag title match that I hope no one ever sees, because if you know Kikutaru, you know what he's doing, and it's kind of weird if he's like trying to grab certain body parts of Joshi wrestlers, and
Yeah, I hate him. I hate him in every single part of my being. When I saw that was a match, I said, "Oh, well, I'm never seeing that one." Kikutaro stinks.
Yeah. I hope no one ever watches it, and I hope that Stardom never books him again, because he was at the Queendom show, I think, in the Battle Royal.
If I had my way, I would hope no one ever books him again. But you know what? He will be booked, sadly.
He will be booked. Yeah. Just hoping, just never need to see him again. Next promotion, I think we'll talk about a bit longer now, is Big Japan. Big Japan hasn't really had like a big show that was like standing out, but it has some couple of great matches that I want to mention that everyone will love. If you haven't seen them, you should definitely check them out. We will start with the title match between Okabayashi and Hideyoshi Kamitani from January 2nd. That was for the Big Japan World Strong Heavyweight title, and that one was likely, from a match we'll mention here, the worst one, simply because they went way too long. They went nearly 30 minutes, and it dragged in the middle a lot.
It felt never ending.
It felt never ending.
It really did.
Especially came out around the time where you had like all the other crowds already cheering, and you had your full, like a more quiet crowd. It was kind of, but
yeah,
I can kind of understand what they were going for here. I was expecting actually a title change, so Okabayashi retained, but I expect a title change to Kamitani, so they are merging together the deathmatch title, which Kamitani currently holds, and a world strong heavyweight title, because I feel like that the deathmatch title is kind of useless right now, just for the simple reason that the deathmatch division is really bad at this point.
It's much like Big Japan itself. It's on its last legs.
Yeah, it's sad the way because they have good talents, but hope we get more of the other talent, more of the best talents outside of Big Japan more,
Oh,
because Big
please.
Japan itself rarely books them in great stuff. But another match that like really rocked from Big Japan was Astronauts versus Gracie Lovers from February 8th. That was the tag team tournament semifinal. The tag team tournament has been going for like the last 20 years, so I have not kept up with it. I'm I think I need to look up, but I think it legit started in September and it ended now.
That's a long term, especially when not every team's like great.
No. And but one of the matches you should definitely check out from them was Fuminori Abe and Takuya Nomura. Takuya Nomura, we have already talked about him, against Masai Takeda and Takumi Tsukamoto. And it was like they went like 12 minutes and they just beat the living hell out of each other. I thought it was bloody fantastic, and I would definitely recommend it to everyone to see how awesome the Astronauts are as a tag team, because they are likely, for the last couple of years, they're like one of the best tag teams in the world, and like no one ever talks about them because no one watches their matches. Sadly.
Sadly, is correct. I think the astronauts they'll be considered the most underrated tag team in wrestling until they get the proper look, and I don't know if that'll ever actually happen because Big Japan's so small. Comparably, like they would get the respect even more if they were in All Japan. Like that's if even if they were that level, I think they'd get a lot more respect. But because they're in Big Japan, it's just so hard for them to stand out. Um, unless you're deep into the Puro scene. And I wish they had more big matches too. I think that would help them, but I guess this is me complaining just because I want more from them than anything else.
Yeah, I can't get enough of them. They have been, I mean, they are fantastic. Not only as a tag team, we have talked about Nomura having a great singles match this year against Kento Miyahara, and Fuminori Abe had a great singles match. It was actually for the Big Japan Junior Heavyweight title against Kota Sekifuda. I don't know if you have watched that because that came out like,
I did actually.
okay, you did.
Yeah.
For the ones that haven't watched it, it's on Big Japan Core right now for free. So you don't even need to sign up or anything. You just can watch it and watch a fantastic match with one of the sickest headbutt of the entire year.
I love Abe. I love him
Yes.
so much. He's everything that's great about pro wrestling and specifically Puro. Um and this match was such a standout because I honestly if it doesn't go free like it does, I don't think a lot of people watch it. And I think that's a shame, right? Because I think that's
Yeah.
the problem with Big Japan. It's like a lot of us would have completely missed it if it never became free. And think of all the matches that might happen that way in a Big Japan, right? Big Japan may, we may say things that we want about that as a promotion, but when it comes to big time great matches, they give a lot of them. Now it needs to have Abe or Nomura or Okabayashi usually in it to get to that level. But this was the proof. This was the biggest proof, I think, of that
Yes.
idea.
Yes. The thing is, they have a really bad network. They have Big Japan Core, and I know a lot of people who had trouble logging in. Ash, for example, complained like weekly about it, how bad it is that they don't accept his email or whatever. It's like we people actually want to watch the shows, but they make it like nearly impossible to even follow them. So we just always need to hope that and someone either like buys the shows or like has Big Japan Core, or we wait for the Samurai TV versions of the big shows, and that's sadly not enough because they have some great, not outside of the big matches, they have some great 6-man, 8-man tag team matches, or like sometimes singles matches in the middle of some random cards in I don't know, in Osaka, Yokohama, Nagoya, wherever, where like no one will ever see it, just because Big Japan Core sucks. And so, something like that just annoys me a bit, because I really want to support the promotion, really want to see them getting better, but it's like not worth it to invest in like Big Japan Core if you can't use it.
Right.
At least I can't. Others can. I can't for some reason. So
Yeah.
then another match that happened was Astronauts versus Strong BJ, so Daisuke Sekimoto and Yuji Kobayashi from the Korakuen Hall show on February 13th. And that was another fantastic Astronauts match. I mean, what can I say? We have said how awesome Astronauts are. As Strong BJ is great as a tag team. One of the best tag teams of this generation for me. They always deliver. They have great matches in. It doesn't matter if it's like a Big Japan or like, I think they had like a great match in All Japan against Ishikawa and Suwama. I think it was like 2018, 2019. Um, Wherever they go, they have fantastic matches. They kill it everywhere, and they also like. I think if they get more matches, they would be in the contention of being the best tag team of the world every year.
The 4 guys that you should give a damn about in Big Japan. That is what this is. Yeah, it's just a great tag team match. Exactly what you would hope for with these 4 being in the ring.
That's correct. There was like a nasty double suplex where like Abe just landed straight up on his head. That looked like really ugly, but it was like fantastic. Got a big pop out of me. I seem to like when people suffer, I guess. Yeah, no. But for real, check this one out. Check all Big Japan, the matches we mentioned out. There's more coming soon, and I hope Big Japan has a fantastic year, because I love to watch them when I get the chance to. And yeah, that is actually it with the promotions we want to talk about. I had like an idea. We're gonna talk about quickly what our favorite matches of the first 2 months are, so January and February together, and then also mention our favorite wrestler. And I think you should start with, what are your top 3 matches of this year from like the indie scene?
Oh, I think I'm gonna be going to All Japan a lot. And that's not a discredit to anyone. It's a credit to them. I'll start with that tag match, Kento Miyahara and Takuya Nomura versus Naoya and Yume Oyagi. That was, again, tag team professional wrestling at its very best. It's exactly what you look for. I think anytime you tune into a big title match, and a big tag title match to be exact, it's the ability that you see there that you hope for, and it's just the very best of everyone coming together and killing it. That's really all I could ask for. The next match I'll bring up is which one do I want to go with first? I'll go with Kento Miyahara versus Yuji Nagata. As everyone can figure out, this isn't a very confusing list, and I've seen every match that we've talked about today. But that match was the greatness of Miyahara, bringing out that, former greatness of Nagata to make a fantastic title match with everything on the line, excitement in the air, and just it's completely fantastic from bell to bell. Seeing Nagata kind of, be every bit of that Blue Justice version of him from back in the day in as IWGP Heavyweight Champion. It's exciting, and it's kind of like, why do these dads in New Japan get shut down? Because they have so much more to give. So it makes me grateful that they get to kind of leave and do more, um, uh, especially within the past year. And match number 3. You know what? I don't want to just highlight All Japan because I think that could get a little annoying on my end. And I think wrestling was great elsewhere. So I'm going to go with I have a few Joshi matches in mind here. I'm going to go which one do I like the better? Which one do I like better? Yeah, we'll go with Arisa Nakajima versus Riko Kawahara. I think that's the type of match you look for on the Joshi Indies, in that what highlights the young talent of the independent Joshi scene, because so much of the time I think we get stuck, right, with a lot of the older talents kind of taking over. We talked about with Miyamoto and how her story right now is against a lot of the older people. Now, I love Harisa, so it's okay. But with Tomoko Watanabe and Kira Ito, I rather watch paint dry. So it's like anytime you get to see someone like a Kawahara get a title match, go in there and shine, you appreciate it, I think, a little bit more than you do maybe a regular title match in a regular promotion. So yeah, I'll go with that one.
Yeah, totally agree. The matches you mentioned are all great. I well, so I have my notes here, and my notes state pretty much every Kento Miyahara big match. Um, but
That's
that's
fair.
kind of too boring to like say. I need to point out the Crazy Lovers versus Astronaut match from Big Japan. I really love that. It was like a total like fight for like 30, a total fight for 30 minutes. They went all out, just went there, killed each other, finished the match up, and just fantastic. Another match that I want to point out is yeah, well, I can't kind of get around it, but I need to point out also the tag title match from Kento Miyahara and Takuya Nomura with Yuma and Naoya Nomura. Like you said, fantastic tag match. That is what I expect from tag team wrestling. That is what I expect from All Japan. That quality is what the Japanese scene outside of New Japan is kind of missing. That kind of quality where it screams, okay, match of the year contender, and we got it here, and I hope we get more of that. Another one is, since I don't want to mention Kent again, is the Kaito Ishida versus Eliminaman match from the GLEAT show.
Mm,
I
mm.
really love that we're like some nasty spots in there. Kaito Ishida getting the big moment after leaving Dragon Gate, which wasn't an easy decision, I believe, for him, considering he was kind of seen as a big guy in the future in Dragon Gate. He came in, totally killed it, and had a fantastic match in his hometown, won the belt, and is now the GRX champion. So now the second category that I have is the wrestler of the month, and I'm excluding Kento Miyahara because that's too obvious.
All right. Well, I guess you make it a little difficult for me. Then I'll go with Takuya Nomura. Then absolutely, which kind of by proxy does bring Kento Miyahara into the conversation, because two of the matches happened with Kento. But yeah, I'll say Takuya. I think he showed a lot in. I think he had two great matches in All Japan, two great matches in Big Japan. Um, absolute stud inside the ring. Uh, but everyone that I see here on my list that qualifies is connected to Mr. Kento. Um, so it does become a little difficult. Except for Fuminari or Abe. I think he would be the only one that comes close that doesn't have one of the matches with Kento. Though now I need that because I think it's a shame we don't have that. But thank you for making it difficult for me. I was hoping you'd said that because I was like, well, it's Kento. Yeah, I'll go with Takuya though.
Yeah. So since you picked Takuya, I'm gonna pick Abe. I mean, there's what a surprise! I think besides the tag match with Takuya, had this fantastic singles match against for the Big Japan Junior title that I loved. It was one of my favorite matches of the year, just because the style that Fumino Rehabe has is like what I love about wrestling. The straight hitting forward style while being like a funny guy with doing all the DDT stuff that he's doing right now and all this stuff. We have seen it, and he's like so good and so under the radar. He's coming to Germany in a bit. I sadly can't go there because he's a 60 karat gold, and I sadly can't travel there during school days. But he's gonna kill it there. He's killed it in Japan. He will kill it all around the world, and I love it. Um, what I who I need to mention is Yuma Aoyagi, who had this fantastic tag title match, the match against Kento Miyahara, and the All Japan versus Noah match. And another one that we obviously kind of need to mention is now I forgot who I meant. Yeah, is obviously shit. It's Naruki Doi, who is killing it in DDT and All Japan.
Yeah. Naruki Doi is working a hell of a schedule. He's hitting DDT, Dragon Gate, and All Japan right now, and he's killing it everywhere. I think it's a good one. If I get to toss one more person in the hat, that's kind of just like having a solid year to start. That does classify. I will. I'll do. I had it, and now I lost it. Look at me. See, I just forgot too. I'll toss. I want to toss Drew Parker in.
Yeah.
So Drew Parker, of course, is wrapping up his deathmatch career, which it presents an interesting future for him. But he had, and I'm going to count his match with Jun Kasai because it didn't air until this year. But he had that match with Violento Jack where he lost the title, and that was a great death match. And I think Drew Parker's a guy that everyone should really appreciate because he didn't do death matches forever, but I think he established himself, as one of the very best in the world at doing them. He was definitely the guy that made me go out of my way to see him, and I applaud him for what he was able to accomplish, and I hope the next steps in his career are just as exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because we just know him as a deathmatch guy, at least in Japan. We know he can wrestle outside of like the deathmatch spectrum, and he can work good matches, but we haven't seen it much, and especially the people in Japan haven't seen it. So it will be interesting what he's gonna do, where he gets the chances. He's booked for DDT, I think, next month, which is which is really cool because DDT he kind of didn't get booked after like a tag match he had there with Chris Brooks against Shunma and I guess Mao, where they did like the darts spots thing. Since then he didn't get really booked in DDT, so I'm glad he's like fully back now and seems to be getting more and more stuff to do now.
Yeah. It'd be nice for him and Chris to be a tag team there. I think that'd actually be great.
Yeah, would be maybe better for Chris Brooks than his current tag team partner, but
yeah, I was trying not to say that, but absolutely.
I need to say that. Masahiro Takanashi's plan is important. Now, he's a fine wrestler, but he's compared to what Chris Brooks can do with others, he's like, okay. If he gets replaced right now by Drew Parker, I think no one would complain.
I know I wouldn't.
And yeah, with that, we have talked about the matches and the wrestlers, and now we have a little preview of what's happening next month. First of all, what happened today when we are recording on March 1st was the All Japan, not the All Japan, All-Star Junior show that had a few matches. I have not been spoiled yet, so I think they have announced a bit more from what I've heard. It's a cool way to bring a lot of juniors on the card together from all kind of promotion, especially hype. I'm especially hyped. I still am for the Fujita Hayato and Hiromu Takahashi tag team. Even on the other side, you have Hayata.
Hayata sucked.
Okay. I didn't want to say that, but Hayata
if you're gonna say about Takanashi, I'll happily say about Hayata. Hayata stinks.
There's a lot of cool matches. For example, Atsuki Awagi, who we praised a lot on this podcast, against Master Water in a special singles match, which I think is main eventing or like main event of the show. If you haven't seen Aoyagi yet, that likely is the best way to introduce him because he's facing someone you know. And otherwise, it had some fun matches that you will definitely love to check out. Another show that is happening is from All Japan. We talked about that before, the March 13th the March 13th Shinjuku show with Rising Hayato challenging Naruki Doi in the main event for the All Japan Junior title. Unagi Sayaka teaming with Yoshitatsu and XX versus Suwama and Yukihi and Zaki, which will be pretty cool, like we said already. And of course, Kento Miyahara against Inamura in a singles match, Noah versus All Japan. On March 21st, we have Yuji Nagata defending his Triple Crown belt for the first time against Tsuchi Ishikawa, and that's gonna be phenomenal. That's likely the standout match, at least with Kento versus Inamura from All Japan in March, and I can't wait to see that because Ishikawa in those big spots is always awesome, and Yuji Nagata, I want to see more of Yuji Nagata of this great performance, and I hope he can keep up with it.
I do too. I totally agree.
Then also we have GLEAT versus All Japan with some solid 8-man, 6-man tag team matches. That will be kind of cool. Sadly, we haven't gotten like a big singles match there, but it is expected with all the booking and politics and whatever. That will be kind of cool. I think it's a Curtain Hall show actually.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so All Japan is definitely cooking a lot in the next month. I think my standout match was the main event actually was it was Strong Hearts against Kento Miyahara, Yuma Awagi, Yuma Ansai, and Tsuchi Ishikawa in like an 8-man tag. And I think there's Atsuki Awagi with Kairi Ishida also on the card. That will be great. I will definitely look forward to that. All Japan's month looks really cool. GLEAT has the UWF tournament starting on March 7th, where we already read out the lineup. That will be pretty cool. The first round matches at least. Then also have the March 21st big show with Kairi Ishida defending his T-Rex title against Kazuma Sakamoto. Then we have Jack Shimatani and Hayato Tamura defending the GLEAT tag team titles against Elineman and Sumo Watanabe from the Strong Hearts. I would not be shocked if a title change is happening just because it's the Strong Hearts. And of course, Unagi Sayaka and Itsuki Aoki against Yukari Hosokawa and Michiko Miyagi. Then, Seedling, March 20th, we have Riku Kaichu defending her POP title. This is the mid-card belt of Puche against Misu Kakura. And we have Arisa Nakajima defending her Beyond the Sea title against Ayami Suzumura. Then Marvelous, of course, the Nagashima vs Tomoko Watanabe match, and the Iroha return. We talked about that and why it's not good. And Big Japan has booked Yuji Okabayashi versus Daichi Monchi So for the Big Japan World Strong Heavyweight title on March the 11th. They had the title match last year where Dai Monchi Show came like out of nowhere, and that was bloody fantastic. I think it was in Osaka because So is like wrestling in Kollega a lot, and so they were having now the rematch. I don't expect a title change, but if they can reach the level of the last one, we are expecting another Yuji Okabayashi classic. What match are you like the most hyped for next month?
Oh man, I get so easily excited for matches that it's so funny.
Yes, same.
I'm between two. Probably selfishly because she's getting a big shot. I'll say Arisa Nakajima and Ayame Sasamura. I think the challenge for Sasamura is very exciting to me. I think because here's the thing. I know Kento versus Inamura is going to be great. I know that Nagata and Shuji are probably going to have a great match. but for me, it's like, what is the match that I think can bring or elevate someone um this time around? And I think with Nakajima having that big match with Sasamura, I mean, I am really excited. I'm of course going to lean on the Joshi side here, but that's the one that it's like, okay, this could be even better than that Rico match. Um and I hope it is.
Yes, definitely. I really look forward to that because Sasamura is finally showing what she can do. Also, for me, like the match I'm most hyped about is likely actually the Nagata vs Ishikawa match, just because I love Nagata and I love Ishikawa, so them facing off sounds really cool. But that's likely the common answer. So I will actually say it's Doi versus Rising Hayato. It's not on a big stage. It's in the Shinjuku, which holds like 400, maybe 300, 400 people. But I can't get enough of current Naruki Doi. And him versus Rising Hayato, I know it's V1. Rising Hayato is not winning, and it's kind of a sad spot for him. But I really can't wait to see him because he has been so great in the last few months. He definitely deserves another big match, and we'll finally get that from him.
It's a good choice.
And yeah, and with that, we have wrapped up the last 2 months.
It's
We
a lot.
have talked about a lot. Yeah, we skipped a bit because nothing but we haven't missed out anything important, I believe. So I will give you now the chance to plug everything you want to, plug the 5-Star Network, plug anything else you write for, whatever, Scott.
Oh boy,
Your time to shine.
I'm so bad at plugging. I'm always so bad at plugging. So follow me at Scotty Wrestling on Twitter. I think that's the best way to see everything I'm doing. Please check out my Future of Joshi series. I'm really proud of that and what it's become. Seeing that I expected it to be one article, it's become 16, which is a lot. It's definitely a lot, but I've had so many great people take part in it, and it'll be finishing up sometime next week, so I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, please make sure to follow the 5-Star Network at 5-Star Network, the word 5 to be exact, on Twitter, and make sure you sub to the YouTube channel, whatever the hell it's called, because that's starting to do really well, and I think we could take advantage of that and have some really cool shows. So thank you for having me on your first episode. I'm excited to see where your journey goes now, Peps, with this show, because I think for a first episode you did a great job at maneuvering around what was a lot of wrestling events over the past 2 months.
Yes, yeah, really, I'm thankful to have you here on the show. It wasn't that easy at some point, but considering I need to move around like 10 different promotions, sometimes
Yeah.
finding a way to do it is not easy. But I'm kind of happy how it went, and over the time I will get in better and better with it. And yeah, so we can wrap this up. Thank you all. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Scott, for having me here. The next episode will come out in the first week of April, where we talk about what's happening in the March of Puro. Stay tuned. Follow all the accounts. Follow me on Twitter at p__wrestling. Follow Scott. Follow the 5-Star Network. And goodbye and have a nice day.